Carla, would you please take the roll?
Mark Arnold.
Here.
Cody Haney.
Here.
Jeff Helm.
Here.
Marvin Kusick.
Here.
Eddie Mack. Cole Ream.
Here.
Don Roberts. Don Rose.
Here.
Jim Straight. We have a quorum.
Thank you, Carla. I hereby call this regularly scheduled meeting of the Metropolitan Area Planning Commission to order. The first item on the agenda is to consider the approval of the minutes from the September 21st, 2015 regular meeting. If you'd all take a look at your minutes, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move motion.
I have a motion
I'll second.
and a second. I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes as they are. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, that motion carries. Okay, item number 3 is to consider a rezoning for property described as part of the northeast quarter of Section 16, Township 22 North, Range 7 west of the Indian Meridian, located at 725 KL Drive. Chris?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is in the west part of Enid. The site that we're considering tonight is outlined in yellow on your screen. Currently, the blue area is C2, and that stands for planned business, commercial planned business. And it allows a hotel, the project that's going to go on this site is a hotel. When they laid out the property, they had C2 zoning. C2 zoning requires greater setbacks than C3, and in order for the hotel to fit elongated on the site and have a portico share off of KL Drive, the setbacks are smaller for C3 zoning, and that's the reason that the owner is applying for that. And they also are rezoning a piece of the R7 to C3, so that whole area in yellow will be the outline for the hotel site. Here's a picture of the utilities. We do have water and sewer available at the site. I will tell you that the sewer capacity is getting very close to maximum. We think that we'll have to study the site plan, the number of hotel rooms to be able to tell you whether that'll work or not. If it doesn't, then there are some solutions that we can make that happen as well. Are there any questions?
So the top piece is still C2?
Yes, sir. And it permits a hotel. So it's not the, change in the zoning doesn't get anything different. It just applies different setbacks and allows that narrow site to be developed.
Commissioners, any other questions? Motions?
Motion to approve.
I'd second it, but with an addendum maybe that, with what Chris said, is to bring back to us any developments on the sewer. I mean, do you have to come back to us if it doesn't?
No, Commissioner,
beat it, or-
that will be resolved when a site plan is submitted to the city. Engineering will look at that based on the number of rooms to make sure that we have capacity. So this will be now forwarded, whatever your recommendation is, will be forwarded to the city council at their next meeting for their appropriate action.
Then I'll second it.
Okay. You want to add that then to your original motion?
Well, it sounded like
We didn't need to.
we didn't have to.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay, I have a motion to approve and a second. All those in favor, aye? Aye. Those opposed? And that motion carries unanimously. Okay, item number 4 is to consider a lot split for a tract in the northeast quarter of Section 13, Township 22 North, Range 7 west of the Indian Meridian, located at 1505 and 1515 West O&K Garriott Road. Chris?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Most of us will recognize this property as the Winland Apartments. That's an aerial photo, and you can see the apartment buildings are right here. And this has been rezoned, if you remember when you did that. The owner is wanting to adjust this property line right here to here. And the next slide shows you that survey. They're taking 27.7 feet out of this lot and adding it to the west lot. We have access to road, water, and sewer. It is recommended for approval.
Any commissioners? I have a motion to approve
Make a second.
and a second. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? And that motion carries unanimously. Item number 5 is to consider a lot split for part of the southeast quarter of Section 1, Township 22 North, Range 7 west of the Indian Meridian, located behind 1508 North Taylor. Chris?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is in north part of town, in an industrial complex. The site that's being split is right here in yellow. The next slide shows the survey. This north piece is being added to Lot 10. And the south half of the lot is being added to these three here. It's recommended for approval.
Commissioners, any questions on this one?
So the south half, you said, is being added to lot 11, 12, and 13?
Yes, sir.
So each piece is gonna get, like 11 will get its run out of it, or how does that work?
11, 12, and 13 are owned by the same person, so their lot then will look this big.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I'll make a second.
I have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? And that one carries unanimously. Okay, item number 6 is to consider a second residential drive located at 2825 West Chestnut. Chris?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is an existing residence. The new owners have purchased it, and for safety reasons, the speed and the amount of cars that are on Chestnut, they're simply requesting a second driveway right here, and they're going to do a circle drive. Our engineering department's looked at it, comments are in your packet, and they support it, it's recommended for approval. Mr. Younger has signed up to speak on this, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Mr. Younger?
If you want to make any comments, you can.
Only if it's not approved, did you read it?
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay. I have a motion and a second to approve item number 6. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? And that carries unanimously. Item number 7 is to consider a sidewalk variance for Sarah Jones located at 2314 Sherry Lee.
Thank
Chris?
you. This is in the north part of Enid on North Cleveland. North Mark Estates is the name of the subdivision. It is just north of Purdue. And the site in question is outlined there in yellow. It's a mobile home subdivision. They're wanting to put a home there, and they're asking you to consider recommending to the city commission that they not do a sidewalk. The criteria for granting a variance is outlined in my background to you. Can I answer any questions? And I do have some pictures of the property. And I think it's just that one right there. That's what it looks like.
I make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve the sidewalk variance for 2314 Sherry Lee. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That one carries unanimously. And our last item on the agenda is to hear a presentation from Robert Hitt on the capital recovery for the sanitary sewer improvement by the city of Enid known as Southwest Enid Basin 2F SSD number 1506. Robert?
Very good. Yes, it's a presentation on capital recovery or ordinance. We have a application will become for you shortly, and I'm going to give you an update on the program. Do we have a presentation?
It's included in this one.
This one?
Just click it. There you go.
This is an excess capacity capital improvement ordinance for consideration for Southwest Enid. We call it Basin 2F. First thing, I just want to give you a little background. on what a capital recovery is. It's a method where development can recover some of the costs for oversizing a public improvement, in this case, a sanitary sewer line. It is established by ordinance, and Title 10 provides that provision. And in the city of Enid can act as a developer, and that will be the case in this application, as you will see it. What it provides is they can recover the cost, but the cost is recovered from future users. When they connect to the system, then they would have a fee to pay for their proportional share of the system. Again, this is the overall plan view of the sanitary sewer system southwest Enid, and I'll just point out here, at the top of the map is O&K Garrett Road, and you can see the Walmart site is identified as well as a Lowe's site, and this is Garland Road in the center. The dark line at the bottom is the proposed extension of the sanitary sewer about 3,900 feet from east of Garland to about a half mile west of Garland. Yeah. Again, 3,900-foot extension. Our project estimated cost we're looking at, or we have been looking at originally, about $800,000 to $820,000, but about $800,000. The area serves about 368 acres. And one thing that's important, peak flow capacity for this line is they calculated 527 gallons per minute. That's the additional capacity that makes available for this 368 acres to make use of in the future. That's a little bit different than was in the background, but it's just been updated from then. I wanted to show you the location of the existing sanitary sewer lines in the area. Again, the line that's being extended is from east of Garland, as shown on this map, to about a half mile west. There are existing sanitary sewer lines to the north, but they will not serve that area because of their elevation. They're too shallow to reach that. And the other sewer lines are to the southeast, and of course they're off the same main, so they're too shallow to serve. This is I'm going to show you the outline of the area that would be served by the sanitary sewer system and would become what we call the drainage area or the basin for establishing fees. Again, this shows this would be Garrett Road to the north, Garland running up and down just to the right side of the drawing here, and you can see Roop to the south. The sewer line extension would be from the east side of the basin to about the center of the basin here. So the other half mile to the west would be served by the sanitary sewer line through future extensions and development. But this outlines the boundary between this basin, existing development, existing sewer systems, and then the areas that could be served, that are felt can be served by the sanitary sewer extension. I will show you that there is about 27 acres east of Garland be served, 341 acres west of Garland, and there is the stormwater detention pond, about 61 acres, which would not be served. That's actually not, that's taken out of the area for the basin. Okay, excess capacity fee is determined, would be collected from future developers or future users who want to connect to the sanitary sewer system. Fees are based on the share of the peak flow capacity of that line, the share of the 527 gallons per minute that's available. It's a 20-year term. Basically, development that occurs in that 20-year term and connects to sewer systems obligated to pay the fee at the time of connection. For a reference, I'm going to tell you that a single-family unit, and this is statute of ordinance, would have a fee of approximately $1,000 in that area to connect to this unit based on the capacity that a single-family unit is anticipated to need and based on the cost to extend the line. That is a little bit different than the background. The background quotes a little lower number, but this has been updated and I believe to be close to number, based on an $800,000 project cost. And we actually have bids in that we think the project cost will come down from that, so we think it will be under that, but that's it's based on the estimate. The action steps. The next steps that we want to take is to notify the property owners that are in this basin that outlined up here of the plan to establish or we're establishing a capital recovery district or basin, and then to come back to the MAPC with approval of the application, which is basically approval of the cost numbers and the estimated cost numbers and the estimated areas, the things you've seen tonight. We want to do that after we provide notice to the public as well. And then also the commission would be asked to approve that application. The next step would be to complete the project, make the improvements, and then to do final notice to the property owners of the final cost and the final fees that would be established based on usage. And then there's a final resolution that establishes those fees. And then at that point, then there's notice filed with the land records on the properties in the basin, basically putting on notice that if that property connects to the sanitary sewer system, making use of this line, then they're obligated to pay the proportional share of the cost. Okay. There is no recommendation for approval at this meeting. We'll bring back an application for approval after we do notice to the property owners, but I wanted to update the Planning Commission on the policies, procedures, and the ordinance. I know it was kind of quick there and kind of just went through the major makeup items of the ordinance and how we would proceed with it. Happy to answer any questions.
Robert, is this all gravity fed, or is there going to be a lift station involved?
There's no lift station in this plan. This is and I'll go back to the plan. It is a 12-inch sanitary sewer line extension. This would be an extension of the 12-inch sanitary sewer to the west and would be gravity fed. It would be gravity operators, no lift station involved with this system. There is, I'll go back to the basin again. There is always the possibility that development could occur outside this basin that may gravity or may pump into the system. And that's a possibility. If that occurs, then that development would still have to pay the proportional share of the fee, even if they were outside the basin. But this is a basin as determined it could be gravity fed by the system. Now, it is based on a 12-inch extension to the point of the basin thereabout, and 8-inch line extensions thereafter, since they would probably serve the remainder of the.
Thank you, Robert.
Robert, didn't you say at one time this also allows a possibility to tie in existing, the basin to the north to this to help alleviate the loading on it?
Let's go back on. I think you're talking about areas right in here. It would serve the area to the west that's not being served by sanitary sewers is anticipated to be served by this basin. The basin comes actually right around this property line, right here. I'll go back to it again. But if there are areas outside this basin, even to the north, that could get into the basin by gravity or by pump system, the answer is the same. Yes, they could make access to the system. They would just pay the proportional share of the capacity they'd take up of the sewer line. Did I answer your question? I'm not sure I answered it, but I hope I did.
Well, yeah.
Home
just wanted
in
to make
here
sure it-
or to the north, may be able to get into the system by pumping into the system. May be able to get in by a gravity system if they extend larger lines, but that's beyond the scope of, we can't anticipate that. But if that did occur, they would just pay their proportional share to make use of the line. This is the area that's anticipated that can reasonably served by gravity with a 12-inch as planned and 8-inch extensions thereafter.
Robert, that little section that we just approved under item 3, which is right in the corner up there, would that not gravity feed into this? Should that not be included in the boundary, since the comment was made that we're gonna be over capacity if they put a hotel there?
The boundary as laid out, it does include this area. So a portion of that area The south portion of that area is shown in this, is in this basin, and the north portion is not. Now, that north portion, if they have access capacity problems onto the north, which we know there are problems there, they can drain to the south into this sewer system, that's correct. They would be permitted to do that system and pay the appropriate fee. But our boundary comes straight across here, so it split that development in half. Soon, the north portion would be able to develop by the north, and south portion would go to would drain to the south.
Robert, what is the percentage, if you know, of city-owned property versus privately owned property, meaning down the road, it's probably not something that we could recover a capital amount on?
Okay. Well, what is included in the acreage or in the basin is the non-public owned property. The street right-of-ways are not included, and the detention basin is not included, and it is 61 acres. So the acreage that was reported is the two tracts, it's the two sites I show here, to the west, 341 acres, and to the east, at 27 acres.
Currently, we're talking approximately about 5 property owners then. Correct?
That could be. I don't have the number of property owners, but it's probably, they are large tracts. You're right. Yes, sir.
We have no guarantee of development within 20 years. I mean, am I understanding your presentation right, that after 20 years, if it hasn't developed and somebody comes in and they don't have to pay
The ordinance provides
that fee?
the developer has the rights to collect those fees for a term, and the term is 20 years. After 20 years, development occurs after that is not subject to the ordinance as it exists. That's correct.
So if all
Yeah,
the
it is.
development happens in 21
What a capital
years,
recovery
we've done
development,
that.
what a capital recovery development does is for a developer, in this case, the city or one party or another, develop a system, provides additional capacity, that there's a means for that developer, in this case, City of Enid, to recoup that additional capacity, the cost of that additional capacity.
So we could spend this money and it never develops. I mean, obviously, we hope it does, but there's a theoretical possibility that it won't develop. And then we don't recover that cost.
There's always possibility that cost isn't, there's no guarantee of recovery costs. It's a means to allow for recovery of that cost. And it means to allow for a recovery at the developers or the residents. There are residents outside this boundary that may at some time see an advantage to connect to it, and it provides them the option to, availability to do that, and it also ties in, that it would pay for that at that term, in place of an assessment district, which would be paid for over time. But yes, that's correct, that it is based on development that occurs in the future.
Is the estimate of 850,000, I know that's went up from our last one. I've done some math and I'm hitting like $110, $150 a foot, so we're probably around $500,000. Is there some anticipated problems or additional costs there that you're concerned with?
The engineer's estimate for the construction was about 775,000 thereabout for construction, and then there's the engineering costs and the right-of-way acquisition costs to add on to that. Number here, 825,000 is for, I think we have seen bids that have come in substantially under that. I think I use 800,000 for the project cost here. I think the final cost will be substantially under that. But based on the engineer's estimate and our estimate cost for right-of-way and engineering, it'd be around the $800,000 range. Based on the bids we see, I think that'll come down. I think the final number will be much less. But I wanted to present it as a conservative view at this point.
I think the other way, Cole, though, certainly that I've looked at this, if we spend this money, there's a chance in 20 years we will not recover it. If we do not put in this sewer, I guarantee you there will be no development over there. So really, the progressive way to look at it is we have to put the sewer in if we want anything to go that direction.
But traditionally, we've requested that the developers put in that sewer. I know a company I work for certainly done a lot of development, and they have put in all of that sewer at their cost. And of course, people have tied into it after the fact for free. And so I'm just concerned that we may only have one or two people that are benefiting from that, and I just want to make sure that while we do need to work on our infrastructure and extend it out, I just want to make sure that we're maximizing the amount of development possibilities, plus recover as much money as we possibly can. That's my concern.
How does putting in the sewer lessen our chances of development out there? I'm confused.
Well, I mean, you've got to take in the factor, if you've got some pieces of property, people may not want to sell them. I mean, they may sit there for 20 or 30 years. We still have someone looking at that corner, but we've not really gotten anything solid in regard to what we're actually going to be developing, if it's all going to be multifamily, if we're going to have 600 houses. We don't even know who's really doing the development yet, and I'm just kind of concerned with the expenditure and the cost and the time and stuff. I just want to have the best information possible that I can have. If I'm going to be asked to vote on it, at a point in the future, I just want to know as much about it as I can.
Yeah, and what you'll be asked to vote on is just the approval of the application.
Sure.
Basically, identifying the area, the cost, and that we've got the process, and the application is appropriate. It's basically, I think, to represent that we made the proper presentations to the public and the residents who will, could eventually be involved with wanting to connect to the system and be assessed the appropriate fee.
Well, to be clear too, Robert, this is not a decision about whether we're putting the sewer in or not. This is simply defining the boundary of the capital recovery. Is that correct?
That's basically, it's approved in the application, which would, yes, basically defining the boundary, that we've set the boundary appropriately, that we've established the cost figures appropriately. Yeah, it's not about approving the.
Those are not, that issue's not one and the same, just to be sure we're clear.
Exactly.
Mr. Chairman, we do have one individual signed up to speak on this item.
Okay.
Eli Berry.
Most of my questions have been answered, Chris. I think I'm good
Okay.
right now.
Thank you.
I have one last question. Mine's just about the single family, the $1,000. Is that just a one-time? So if someone buys a house, pays $1,000 and moves out 5 years later, the next person that moves in doesn't pay it, right? It's a one-time per property?
Correct. The fee is based on it's the fee to recover the capital costs for the sanitary sewer improvement. It's based on the peak flow usage, and the ordinance establishes the peak flow usage for single family of 400 gallons per day. And if you relate that back to the gallons per minute, it comes up to about 0.67. But it comes up to about, based on the fee, around about $1,000 per unit to pay their share for a single family unit to connect. Yeah, it's a one-time fee for connecting. And then any operating costs are covered through utility fees, not through this.
Any other questions for Mr. Hitt?
And that's just done during the permit phase, building permit phase, when that's assessed.
Yes, the ordinance would call for it to be done at the subdivision stage or the site plan stage, and in lack of those, it would be at the permit stage, yes. Thank you.
Yes.
Bring back an application after public notice is complete.
Okay, if everybody's through with him, I appreciate it, Mr. Hitt.
Thank you.
And that was item number 8. Now, item number 9 is to adjourn. Do I have a motion to adjourn? I have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor, aye. Those opposed, we're adjourned.
Oh, that's not.